So we just got back from a short vacation in Florida. Hi. So we're here in Florida and our 2000 Suburban's having we think it's a fuel pump problem. That's what we hope. So we're in our friend's driveway fixing the pump. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so we were just driving shopping and I saw 2 Honda NSXs. I thought that was weird. So we turned around and came back because we want to see them. Turns out there's 6. The Thanksgiving dinner right there. We're gonna start working on my 2001 Ford Ranger XLT diesel. So we're gonna get ready to put this on my truck, which is a product from Snow Performance, the water methanol injection experts. So this kit is obviously a water methanol injection kit, and it's actually for a Volkswagen because obviously they don't make a product specifically for Kubota swap Ford Rangers. So this is the closest displacement. This should work pretty good in theory. So I'm just gonna open it up and see what we got to work with here. This is obviously the reservoir. Haven't thought about where I'm gonna mount that yet. 20 feet of black tubing. Here's the pump. That's very heavy. 300 PSI. That weighs a good, probably close to 10 pounds. This is the instructions. I'm sure we'll need that for something like this. And this looks like all the hardware and wiring. So there's actually a gauge they give you. It's actually different than the gauge I saw online. The one I saw online was like a longer digital one. This is like a traditional style sort of pod gauge. Here's a smaller black hose. It's rubber. I'm not sure what that's for. They have adhesive. This looks like the 2 nozzles. And then just some mounting stuff. It's actually not too many parts. It can't be that hard to put together, I think. I showed up. So this is like a generic kit, so you kind of have to figure things out for yourself. There is instructions, but like mounting and hardware and all that other stuff. So basically, we're gonna put the pump and the reservoir in the cab because my engine bay is pretty clogged up. I have a little list of things I need before we can actually install it. More vacuum line, gauge holder, that's not necessary, but a gauge holder. You need a 27 NPT 1/8 tap. You need a vacuum line fitting. We need that because we're gonna need more of this vacuum line because this isn't going to be enough to run from in the cab to where I'm gonna connect on the intercooler piping because this has no vacuum line right now that I know of, and then an inline fitting to fit the new fitting to that fitting, or the new line to that line. So we'll be back in 5 seconds with some different clothes on and show you how to put it all together. So I'm back and I got all the tools I need. And the manual says start with the plastic tank, which is the easiest part, but I'm actually going to start with the hardest part because I want to make sure we have that all thought through because I don't want to get stuck halfway needing more stuff. So we're going to start with that. So you need a 10 mil, and I'm going to take off the clamps for the intercooler pipe that goes into the intake. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this part first is because over the guys yelling over there. The Napa guy said, and I didn't even think of this, the manual says to drill and tap into intercooler piping. The guy said most intercooler piping is aluminum and it's way too thin to make it a tap. Well, I know this pipe is steel. It's pretty obvious. So I don't think that'll be a problem, but just to make sure it is thick enough, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this first. Also, you're really gonna wanna take it off because you don't wanna drill there and get shavings in your intake. That could be bad. So while we were in the States, we went to Harbor Freight. You get the best quality tools for the best price. They're not actually best quality, but they're really cheap, so who cares? So, I'm gonna take this bolt off to get this pipe off, to then get this pipe off of that bolt and that bolt. That makes sense? I think so. Oil. To be expected. Same there. Look at that. Steel. So, thankfully, Josh was here yesterday and he forgot his nice drill bits. So I'm gonna use a small one to make a pilot hole before I use my 11/32. So I'm gonna drill with this quarter bit or whatever size it was. Make a pilot hole, hopefully straight. Got this red dot straight, but I gotta follow the contour of the thing. Doesn't really matter. That's that. Then on 11/32, there. That's the right size. Now the scary part. So I got a snap-on tap tool that tightens onto this bit. So I'm just gonna have Chris give me an extra set of eyes in case something goes wrong. I don't want to mess this up. So this is a test to see if this nozzle threads in properly. So the tap works. The instructions say using a 5/16 open end wrench, tighten the assembly, another half turn past finger tight. So I already tightened it as far as I could by finger. Do another half turn with a 5/16 wrench. So I have to find it. So that's a half turn. This is the adapter that connects the nozzle to the fitting for the line. So we're first going to put some glue around the threads on the nozzle, put the adapter on, let that dry, and then proceed to glue the line fitting on with the same glue called E6000 that comes with the kit. Stinks really bad. That's tight. It does say to use a 7/16 wrench though, which doesn't make sense. It's tight. So I have a little tube that I'm going to be using as the fitting for a vacuum line to run off this. I already marked a place where I'm going to attempt to weld this if it is in fact weldable. I did a test and it seemed to work, so I'm going to try to weld that right there. And then I'm not going to drill a hole yet. I'm going to weld this on, then get a small drill bit and weld through. That is the plan. So I know for sure the weld that goes down this side here, you can see how it looks like it flows. I think that's fused. The main problem I had doing this is that if I noticed when I was practicing, if I held the welder for more than a second, it started melting this. So I had to keep it on high, but only use it for a split second to get the right temperature. I did end up getting this hot and that hot at one point, so I know what's on there. It's just to see if it's airtight. Got the exact size drill bit, so I'm going to drill through the middle of this, through this tube, hopefully going through and hopefully not getting the drill bit stuck inside there, because that would suck to have to cut it off and try again. I don't know what happened there. Oh. That's what it's doing. It's hitting itself, the other end of it. I'm starting on the reservoir, and I'm going to start with the easy part, which is gluing in this fitting, which then a line gets locked in there, goes straight to the pump. It calls to use their E6000 sealant. It also needs a 19 mil wrench. Yeah, that's good. So the next thing we're gonna do is install this level switch on the reservoir, which it's there to tell you that you're running low on fluid. So it recommends to install it about a third from the bottom, so it doesn't have to be exact, just yeah, that's where you put it. Next step is to install this. The tank has 3 holes on each side for mounting the tank. I don't think that's necessary to use all 6. I'm gonna put a big bolt and only use 2 with a big washer because I want this, that's where it happens to be positioned. So that's what I'm drilling now, is holes for bolts to go through. Went to Napa and I bought a gauge holder. I didn't really know it was gonna be just a piece of steel like that. I thought it was gonna be something more professional, but this is what I'm with and I don't really care. So I'm basically gonna put it right beside my other one like that, because by the looks of it, there's 3 buttons on there and I'm gonna be using them quite a bit. So the original plan was to put it in the glove box, but for what it looks like, it's gonna make much more sense for it to be here. So there was enough room there to get screws in there without having to take the windshield out, and I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna super glue this thing. It shouldn't ever be under stress anyways, so I don't see why glue wouldn't hold it. And if it doesn't hold, you can always just change it later. Yeah. Okay. Lid came off. Yeah, I'll get that. See here, even with that one, squish. So we're gonna start some wiring. We got 3 main wires to run, and I'm gonna get my wire technician Chris to help me. Is that more wires or less wires than a 12 valve? Take more. So between last night and this morning, we put all the layers of paint on here we think we're gonna need, 2 to 3 on most places. And so I'm gonna remove the tape, take this out, I'm gonna double check that all the shavings are out of it, and then we're gonna install it back on the truck. Yeah, I can probably get some of those out. Finally got the pipe on, and a little bit of an issue. We knew this beforehand. I wasn't sure how I was going to fix it, but this nozzle, the way that it ended up being tight was aiming straight back. I didn't want to loosen it up or tighten it too far, so I left it where it was. Problem is, this rad hose used to sit basically right on top of where the this intercooler pipe goes in. So for now, this isn't permanent, but I have it zip tied to I guess this would be my AC, an AC compressor line. So that's just being held out of the way so that when we run the line into this thing, we got a straight path back to the firewall. So this is the check valve. It only lets fluid go through one way. So make sure you aim that towards your nozzle, because that's where you want your fluid to end up. And yeah, that's just so that fluid doesn't, whatever, go backtrack.
Come back when it's
not supposed to.
The pump's not on, but there's boost.
Whoa, that's really cool. So this is my position that I'm mounting the pump at. I'm about to put the first screw, which also has the ground for the pump. What?
Ford Ranger.
So finally we have all the wires run. Ran them all over this truck. That was a lot of wiring actually. We hope they're all grounded good. And basically, we're gonna check if it turns on. Should turn on with IG.
Whoa!
I was scared for a second. It says off. Okay, so that's the prime button. So now we gotta prime and purge, whatever that means, the line of air.
That means get all the air out.
I don't use that word. I'm gonna pour the reservoir full.
A blue Gatorade.
I wanna get Scott's sponsor.
Yep.
Sponsored by Scott's Blue Shop Towels. Cleans up your mess so
In no time.
in no time.
Now we plug it in.